Hey, hi everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes. We'll start the session. Can you all please confirm if my voice is audible? Can you all please confirm if my voice is audible? Okay, let's get started. Now, in yesterday's session, we have discussed about data engineering. Now, why data engineering is required? We have explained by giving a layman term example. Now, if you have not gone through the previous live session, which we had yesterday. So request you to go through and see that first, and then you will also understand about the tools and technology involved. Now, in order to make something work, you need some tool or you need some language to process it. In that way, the one thing which we are really in need of doing it is achieved by SQL. We all know that why SQL is used. Then we also need a programming language to make sure that the pipeline is successfully executed end to end. For that, any programming language would be enough, but most of the companies, most of the organizations in terms of clients are expecting Python knowledge, and Python is a very good language, user friendly language, which can help us in fulfilling the requirement. Well, what we are doing? Data engineering. Organizing the data is the key here. In order to organize the data, you need to have complete data warehousing system knowledge. Now that data warehousing system, it's like organizing your fact tables, dimension tables, getting the business knowledge into picture. Now all this organizing the table happens at the data warehousing level. Well, most of the things which is happening currently in the market is the data is present in the on-prem. Now why it is present in on-prem? Because most of the companies are still not exposed to big data technologies. They're still maintaining the data in the on-prem. Now, in order to move the data from on-prem to the cloud, that is also one of the role of the data engineer. What we have discussed yesterday was, well, as a data engineer, you will try to organize the data from different systems, and then you'll move into a different layer. But now, even the on-prem to the cloud, we can still do it. And finally, we have many technologies for cloud-based as well. Like we have Azure, we have AWS, and we also have GCP. Now, these are all the main frameworks you need it. Well, within the tool, we do have multiple subtools that we will discuss later part. But in order to be a good data engineer, things which you have to know is SQL. Why SQL? Why SQL? Well, SQL is, I would say, it's everything for an engineer. Well, not only data engineers, if you are like a data analyst, developers, BI developers, data scientist, I would say for everyone, SQL is must. If you ask me, it's like I almost related to speaking English. What is required in order to communicate to someone? English. Well, what is required to communicate to a database? SQL. Well, SQL is everything. Not only for analysts, it is for everyone. I would say SQL becomes the most important technology in order to get the data from different data sources which is stored in the on-prem. Now that is important. Now, well, the other part is this also helps us to write the logics, pick out the right columns, right tables, right features from the existing tables. Some of the data may be not required. Now you wanted to exclude that and you want to include what is necessary according to the business. That is where SQL becomes more important. Well, the other part is when I'm creating a complete data warehousing system, there will be multiple updates, inserts, deletes, cleaning up the table, truncating the table, entering a new, making a new entry. Now all this is possible again by SQL. Now that's the one of the key factor why SQL becomes like a right hand to the data engineers. Well, I'm actually interacting with database. Now in order to make the entire process automation, flow from one process to the other, make some jobs to execute, that is not possible by SQL. Upfront, I'll tell you, it is not possible by SQL. What SQL does, it can interact with the databases. But if you ask me to interact with a system, any framework, maybe not up to the mark. But SQL is the most important language to communicate to the database. Well, if that is the case, who will communicate to the frameworks? Now that is where we have Python. That is where we have Python. Well, Python is one of the most useful programming language nowadays. Everyone has migrated. There is, I would say that nothing is impossible in Python. You want to write a scripting language, use it. If you want to use it as a functional language, use it. If you want to use it a pure programming language, use it. If you want to use it for machine learning, data science, artificial intelligence, use it. Well, you can even build a web application. Now Python is like an all-rounder, can do everything. Well, this technology now, what it does, it will help us to interact with the framework now. Well, SQL interacting with the database. Well, coming to the Python, Python will help us to integrate with the frameworks. Well, interacting with the framework and getting completely end to end, Python is like one of the key pillar for data engineers. Well, I would say one thing, you know SQL, you know Python, 50% of your data engineering is done and dusted. The rest 50% is just knowing the framework. Why these two are like two hands is, one can completely interact with the database technologies, database frameworks, and one can completely interact with all the cloud-based frameworks. Combining these two can lead into next level. Well, if you take any play a match or any tournament, the partnership is very important. In order to be a winning team, the partnership is important. SQL partnered with Python can do wonders for you, especially in data engineering, because two tools with a very powerful features, very powerful commands can make your data engineering very smooth. Well, the other technologies, other tools will just help us to make achieve it, but the most importantly, these two can solve our problems. Well, now everything is on-prem. Now you want to automate this to a cloud-based service. Now that is where your cloud computing comes into picture. See, overall, how much data you can Excel can store? Your Excel can store 10 lakh, 1 million. After that, where do you store? Your Excel can store maximum of 10 lakh. After that, and we know how e-commerce companies working, how banking works, how many customers are there, we will understand that. But do you think Excel is enough? No. Imagine your Excel is storing about 10 GB. After this, maybe you'll go for database. Now database is like maybe 5 terabyte. After that, after that, now will you want to use a database, you have to pay more. You have to pay more. You have to keep on buying the server, which practically may not be possible. Well, that's the most important thing which you have to understand. As and then the size increases, the database size increases, the money which you have to give them, the price which you have to take for a server will also increase. So scalability is also something which you need to keep in mind. Well, I'll give you a simple example, okay? You want to store 10 terabyte of data. How much? 10 terabyte. Well, assume that you want to store it in your laptop without asking anyone else. Your laptop is 1 terabyte space and the price is 1 lakh. Usually every laptop is nowadays coming in 80 to 90K. Whereas if you are going with a good 8 GB RAM or maybe 1 terabyte, I would say 1 lakh. Now in order to store this 10 terabyte, you need to purchase 10 laptops. Each laptop is charging 1 lakh. So 10 lap into 1 lakh, you're spending 10 lakhs for storing 10 terabyte. Tell me, is it a feasible solution? Is it a feasible solution? Well, to store 1 terabyte of data, do you think I can purchase one laptop? Even if you're purchasing an hard disk, even if you're purchasing any of the storage devices, still it's costly. Still it will be paid. But remember one thing, remember one thing, all this is just something which you cannot do it in the real time, because handling 10 laptops, you cannot do it. You have to employ 10 members, you have to pay them salary. Now where is the data security, where is the backups? What if the person says that there is no power? What if the person says that laptop has been stolen? Who is responsible? So you cannot go and depend on your systems, you have to go for server. Now server also, if laptop itself is this much costly, think about the servers. Do you think you can maintain with the server? Well, that is also practically very difficult. That is also practically very difficult. Now, where is the solution? Well, to store a 10 terabyte of data, if I'm spending 10 lakhs amount, which is practically not possible because we are still in terabytes. After that, we do have still petabytes, zettabytes. That's the data storage that is having currently in the market. Now, where do you store all this? Where do you store all this? Now, that's the challenge you will get it here. Well, in order to maintain that, this cloud computing, what they say, boss, don't spend 10 lakhs. Give me 3 lakhs. Just give me 3 lakhs. I will give a database server for you. I will manage the server. I am responsible for data security. I am responsible for data loss. I am responsible for backups. I will take care of everything. You please start think about business. You need not do anything else. You pay me 3 lakhs. You are saving literally 7 lakhs from this. And not only that, I am removing a burden from you. You need not even worry anything about anymore. I will take care. That is where I am known for. Who? Cloud computing. Well, cloud computing clearly on the face is telling us don't spend too much for your data, storage, or even for processing. Why are you going and looking for servers? Why are you looking for your laptops? Why are you looking for your systems? No need. You store it in my server where I have unlimited storage because I am a cloud. Cloud is known for unlimited, but well, anyhow, I have to charge it. But I'm not going to charge you like 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs because for 10 terabyte itself, you are spending 10 lakhs, which is too much. Just give me 30% of it. And not only you're saving time, not only you're saving money, you are actually reducing the burden and rest of the things I am taking care. And that is how we are managing. So that is where your cloud service comes into picture. Well, to answer your question again, SQL Python becomes like a two important skills and as a pillar. And if you want to move your on-prem to the cloud, well, on-premises are still existing, but nowadays are becoming costly because of the data which you're storing in them. And now every company has moved the systems to cloud. Now, that is where we can say AWS, Azure, GCP are the top three cloud service providing, which can help us to have a smooth run of data engineering projects. Now, why data engineering projects? Well, very simple. Data is coming from different systems. I need to organize it. I need to make my system run. I need to make my business decisions. Well, for that, you need to have a continuity of data flow. That continuity data flow is achieved only from systems. Very useful cloud services. Well, you can still do it in on-prem. That's what I said. To store 10 terabyte of data, you have to spend 10 lakhs. Now think, you can still do it, but is it feasible? Is it effective? That is where your cloud computing comes into picture, and there are different cloud services which provides different type of services. Well, what we are doing is we will pick out one cloud service and we will be working with end to end, right? So you need to be clear what you want to do. You have to go with SQL, you have to go with Python, you have to understand the data warehousing concepts, and adding a database knowledge is an added advantage but not compulsion. But most importantly, you will be learning cloud computing. Remember, cloud computing is going to be the future. Well, there could be a days where even cloud computing should be taught sitting in colleges. Even in colleges also, they'll start teaching all this cloud computing. It can still happen because cloud computing is going to rule the world, because majority of the projects, clients, systems are running the servers in the cloud. And we can see a lot of growth that can happen in cloud because the way we are generating the data, the way we are utilizing this internet, the way we are working on day to day in terms of generating like huge data, all this is like a problem. But don't worry, for every problem there will be a solution. The growth of data, the processing of data, everything can be handled by the solution provider called as cloud computing. Cloud computing can understand your data, how much data you have, how to store it, how to process it. It's just the right tool for us in working of end to end. Well, you can still do it in on-prem, but the challenge with the on-prem will be like you need to pay more. Well, your business itself will not generate 5 lakh of profit, but you have to end up paying in 10 lakhs of money. That's not feasible solution. Well, that I would say that in order to work as a complete system, SQL, Python, on-prem, cloud computing, if you have this all this knowledge, you can start building your projects. Well, with that, we are seeing that what are the tools and technologies involved. Now, is it really need to go for cloud computing? Should you really need to go for a cloud computing? What is the problems that you're having in a traditional database? Well, is it really worth of spending 3 lakhs? Is it really worth of spending 3 lakhs? Well, in my system, I need to pay 10 lakhs. Well, in my system, I need to pay 10 lakhs. Whereas if I give to cloud, it's 3 lakhs. But is it really worth? Can I can I try to reduce this? Or is it something like I can still do it in on-prem? What is the problems we are facing in on-prem? How challenging it is going to be? What are the pricing that you need to pay? Is it really worth of going to the cloud? So everyone says that cloud, if I say cloud computing, everyone says okay, it's chargeable, it's pricing. But how much? How much? Is it less or it's more? That you still don't know. What is the current tools are charging? That also you still don't know. In that case, we cannot judge this cloud computing based on the pricing part. Of course, if I take a 10 terabyte of data, paying 10 lakhs is very huge, whereas paying 3 lakhs is feasible. Well, this in terms of a data I'm speaking, but if you compare with your projects, the data is very huge. And in order to make that a very effective, you need to start thinking on how you can manage the how you can manage the data. Well, this is something we need to understand. This is something which you need to understand. In order to move to the cloud computing, what are the things you keep to mind? That is what we are going to achieve. Well, today we have seen the technologies involved. In tomorrow's session, the same time, we will start seeing what is a traditional pipeline problem. Well, if the data has to move from one place to other place, what is the current systems are facing problem? Why we are going to the cloud? Why we are going to the cloud? What is the problem in current movement of data? That's the next topic which we are going to discuss. That will be traditional pipeline problems. That we will discuss tomorrow. That we will discuss tomorrow. Any questions? Well, this live sessions will try to have a good understanding about the technologies. We will take one step at a time. So definitely we'll be covering more in the upcoming sessions. Definitely Ankit will be covering more on the Azure and the different services. We will be doing that. Any other questions? Okay. With that, we'll end the session today. We'll again meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock with the topic traditional database problem and what is the reason that we are moving to AWS or Azure. Thanks for joining. We'll meet in tomorrow's session.